We start with breaking news today at noon. We are tracking the case of missing 7-month-old baby Emmanuel Haro. Hello, I'm Angela Chen. Jake and Rebecca Haro have both pleaded not guilty to their murder charges today.
They pled not guilty to those charges.
Jake and Rebecca Haro, who are still behind bars, will be formally charged with his murder, along with filing a false police report. And even though the baby's remains have not been found, detectives say they believe he died as a result of continuous child abuse.
This excerpt is from the 2023 sentencing transcript of Jake Haro, related to a 2018 beating of his child that left her permanently brain damaged and disabled.
Good morning. I want to kind of give my take on the Emmanuel Haro situation. So I'll kind of just dive right in. As everyone knows, I've been kind of out of the loop on many things. And this morning, quite naturally, some of the Emmanuel Haro, Jake Haro, Rebecca Haro information was available on syndicated television all over, Fox, so on and so forth. So I kind of caught bits and pieces, and after really being able to kind of dig in, there were, as everyone knows, a number of issues pertaining to, firstly, Jake Haro. He had the situation with his daughter, where there was a continuous abuse in the home, and she was left disabled, only being able to utilize 3% of her brain. He really did a number on her. Then you kind of fast forward, he's put on probation, gets a bunch of the probation, or he's sentenced, the sentence being suspended, the majority of it. He's put on probation. And then you fast forward a little more, and the gentleman gets caught with a pistol and ammunition, thus resulting in a violation of his community supervision. He was due for either a revocation or probably a revocation earlier this month. And sort of focusing on just that and not Rebecca Haro's involvement in the situation, when I look at the situation with the probation violation, it sort of screams more to me than just having, as a felon, a handgun in the home illegally for home defense, which, there feasibly could have been a firearm in the home if it was out of his reach, or making it unaccessible to him, being that Rebecca would own it. So I always have sort of kept the thought that the only person that needs a pistol is one that has it, right? So you have a guy who has this lengthy, I think it was 6 years. Don't quote me, because I haven't gotten all the details as many creators have. However, he's got, I think, 6 years suspended, understanding that even one violation could send him back to the California Department of Corrections for the time he owes the state of California. So in my opinion, it seems as if there was something more going on, that he would be willing to even possess the pistol and the ammunition as a restricted person's. I think that there was probably many things going on in the home. However, the pistol issue is one that I'm just sort of stuck on, because for him to have been caught with the pistol suggests that he's out in the world as a restricted person. Now, I also, as I understand, his actual gun charge was possession by an addicted person. So quite naturally, he was a felon for the situation with his daughter, who was removed and put into the care of family. So there is a drug issue there. Now, is the drug issue something that's perpetuated through the course of what probation he was successfully on to now being caught in the public eye with a handgun that he's not supposed to have? So not only was it just going to be a probation violation, which he owes the state of California 6 years on, I believe it was 6 years, to now whatever the mandatory minimum for possessing the firearm as a restricted, addicted person / felon. Now, bringing Rebecca into the situation and her involvement, I think that there is a long-standing history with Mr. Haro where he is either by brute force or by just mental manipulation, mental abuse, emotional abuse, probably some physical abuse, where he is capable of either finding these ladies or grooming them into being okay with his abuse of the children, right? Now, I don't know what all goes into the psychology of how he's able to do these things. I would lend an opinion on the black eye she had at the time of the reporting of the alleged kidnapping. In my opinion, she didn't hit herself, right? So he's now even convinced her as a part of the bigger plot to cover it up, to allow him to essentially put evidence on her face, right? So moving forward, I also want to touch on the whole pleading guilty or not pleading guilty, right? You'll see some outlets, even Vinnie Politan, he's done a piece, which I've not watched, but you can kind of infer what the subject matter will be about, and it's, did they plead guilty or not plead guilty? When you have a wide array of outlets saying that he did plead guilty, now they go in for arraignment and they both plead not guilty. Then you have this issue with the public defender's office where, and I've never heard of this, but the public defender's office, for whatever reason, chose Jake Haro as someone that they would represent. So now he's been appointed not one, but two public defenders to work his side of the case. And the public defender's office refused to represent Rebecca, meaning that she was then passed down to what they are terming a conflict panel, which quite naturally with the verbiage has something to do with being able to be represented, but by virtue of a confliction of interest, it's a different sort of representation. I'm going to do a little more homework on the confliction board, but so then you run into issues that if they had actually confessed, which I think that the public by and large, their opinion is that he has confessed with all of the media documentation, which, really kind of concretes the idea that he has confessed. Now, if they haven't, I do believe at some point there will be a separation between Rebecca and Jake, in that it's the age-old idea that whoever talks first gets the deal. I don't believe that Jake Haro will get a deal, so I believe they'll probably lean harder on Rebecca because this could definitely turn into a death penalty situation. Now, being that the child is still outstanding and they have not found the remains of the child, which is a whole separate issue for me that I'm not going to get into in this video. But a lot of times when the death penalty is on the table, for the information that will bring the remains home, A lot of times they'll remove that option, that option from the state in order to leverage them to reveal the location of the remains. So the ideal that they've went and pled guilty sort of seems like spending good money over after bad money, or it all being bad money. If he truly has confessed, and I'm just focusing on him for right now because he seems to be the darker of the two, in my opinion. If he truly has confessed and now coming back during arraignment and pleading not guilty, a lot of things come into play. You have the integrity of the confession. You will have, quite naturally, at some point when it moves forward, you will have the public defender's office trying to suppress that very confession, which becomes problematic, right? It's sort of, in my opinion, asinine to even go to the extent of pleading guilty, taking investigators to a place along the side of the highway where it looks as if to the outward audience that he's potentially taking investigators to a place where he either wants them to think he put the child or where he actually did put the child. However, that that search was fruitless. So I think in the upcoming months, there's going to be a lot of information come forth that probably will make the situation even more dark than it already is. And I think that, Jake Haro will definitely have a very hard time while incarcerated because of the long-standing history of abuse. So I do also, in closing, want to mention, and I'm not going to put the depictions of the daughter that was removed by CPS shortly after making the report of Emmanuel's alleged kidnapping. You can go back and find it. It's one of the very initial pieces of media that was created around the situation. But you'll see that there's the older daughter that's older than Emmanuel. Jake's holding her during one of these makeshift vigil presser deals. And you can sort of look at her eyes and see that just something isn't quite right with her eyes as well. Also, when you look at Emmanuel's appearance, you'll see that there's definitely a degradation. It's degrading his physical appearance. And then you have Jake's sister, who comes on one of the outlets, one of the platforms, saying that he was a very bright child. He had one wandering eye, but other than that, he was pretty up to par, other than being, in some degree, slow developing. So again, I think that whatever it is that makes Jake Haro a monster to children will definitely come to light. I don't know if it's addiction, if it's just, if he's psychotic, antisocial, whatever it is, right? So there's going to be a lot of information that comes out in the coming months, and you can be for sure that, their trial is a ways out, if it goes to trial. I do believe probably in this situation that, in my opinion, Rebecca is going to be offered some sort of relief that is less profound than Jake, and that will really, it will motivate her to come forth with what actually happened. Anyhow, that's really just my take on it, and I look forward to seeing what happens in the coming months and years. And I think overall, the main thing for me right now is the retrieval of baby Emmanuel, wherever he's at, in whatever state he's in terms of whatever state his remains are in. I know I did hear a little information suggesting that Jake just sort of nonchalantly threw the baby in the garbage. I don't know that to be true or not. And so, there's a lot of things that we don't know if they're true or not. They could be rumors. They could be, propaganda in trying to further some sort of agenda. However, I think that number one, the two monsters are locked up. The focus needs to be on applying a level of pressure to those two in order to reveal where the location he's actually is at. Also understanding that in the area where it appears Jake took the investigators, any of us that are true crime aficionados, we know that when remains are left outside, there's all sorts of different elements that over time, and even a short period of time, could make the retrieval of remains difficult to impossible. You have weather, you have animal activity, which is, again, a whole nother issue. So prayers for baby Emmanuel. I hope that, I pray to God that they can find him and bring him home and give him the dignity that he never got in life. Anyhow, thank you for joining me, and that's my take. I'll catch you on the next one.